Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of your IGCSE Tutors. Without further ado, let's start to discuss this Cambridge IGCSE Economics Paper 1. First question, why will scarcity always exist? It is due to the unlimited wants and limited resources, which forms scarcity. So the answer is the unlimited ones. A student decides to take up a 2-year apprenticeship for which she will earn $10,000 per year. After that, she expects to learn $25,000 per year. She could take an unskilled job which pays $16,000 per year instead of the apprenticeship. What is the opportunity cost in the 2 years of completing the apprenticeship? So we know that she takes up 2 years of apprenticeship. So right now we can calculate the salary she would get for 2 options in 2 years. So first is the unskilled job, okay? 16,000 1 year, so times 2 for 2 years. She's getting 32,000 for 2 years. And the second one is apprenticeship, which is 10,000 per year times 2. So right now the question is asking us the opportunity cost of choosing apprenticeship. So she need to deduct this. So she got the opportunity cost, which is 12,000. Okay, let's move on. The diagram shows a country's PPC. Which current combination of capital and consumer goods would produce the greatest number of consumer goods in the future? Okay, in the future is the keyword. So future depends on productive capacity, and the increase in capital goods can increase productive capacity. Why is that so? Examples of capital goods are factory and machinery. Since consumer goods are produced in factory and by machinery, so by increasing capital goods right now, increases the consumer goods to be produced in the future. So it is finding the current combination, so we need to locate to the point where there's the highest amount of capital goods right now, which is OP. So the answer is B. And in the future, with the current combination of OP, it will help to produce the greatest number of consumer goods in the future. Let's move on. Question 4. What is not a macroeconomic topic? So macroeconomic topic is about the study of the whole economy. Microeconomic is about like a particular market. A, growth in Chinese gross domestic product. Yes, this is a macroeconomic. Consumer price index, CPI, yes. Level of unemployment, yes, macroeconomic. And this total output of German car industry, no. So this is the answer. Because this is the study of a particular market, and it's not as a whole economy. So, okay, the answer is D. Question 5. What is likely to cause an extension in demand for firms' food drink? Okay, so whenever you see extension or contraction in demand, this means that it is caused by a price factor. So we need to look for the answer that links to price. But before that, let's draw the graph first of extension in demand. So extension in demand means increase in demand, right? So we need to draw it down. Okay, so we see that when there's an extension demand, there is a decrease in price from P1 to P2. So let's look at the answer. A period of hot weather, no. This is non-price factor. A reduction in the cost of producing the drink. Yes, it's about the price. Why is it so? Because when the cost of production reduces, the price also reduces. So this answer is the same as this, reduce in price. So C. A rival firm leaving the market. No, this is the non-price factor. D. A successful advertising campaign by the firm. No, this is also non-price factor. Okay, so the answer is B. But for your information, how do I know that A, C, D are non-price factor? Again, there is a mnemonics. I will still write it down for your reference. So the mnemonics for the non-price factor of demand, this is for demand only, is his age. Alright, let's move on. Supermarket sell petrol outside their stores. They reduce the price of petrol below other suppliers to attract more customers to buy goods in the store when they buy more petrol. If this were successful, how might it be shown on demand and supply diagrams? Okay, so we see the second part here first. Demand and supply for the store's good. This is really obvious because it says to attract more customers to buy goods, which means that there's an increase in demand. So this means that the demand curve shifts to the right. So we know that this one is correct. But why the first part here is shifting supply curve to the right? Why the supply increases already? See this part. Supplier reduces the price of petrol below other supplier and more petrol. So this means that the supplier is willing to supply more petrol with a lower price. This encourages suppliers to buy petrol in larger quantities. So by buying in the larger quantities can reduce the cost per unit of petrol for the supermarket, allowing the supplier to supply even more petrol at the lower price. So this is represented by the supply curve shift to the right. So we can draw a graph. Okay, there's no space, but you can see there's a decrease in price while the quantity supply increases. So we know that D is the answer. Okay, so let's move on. Which statement describes a market in disequilibrium? Okay, so we know that when the market in this disequilibrium, there is surplus or shortage. Excess demand results from a government maximum price below the equilibrium price. Yes, excess demand means shortage. So A is the answer. B, the point where the demand and supply curves cross. No, this is the equilibrium point. C, price changes cause further changes in both demand and supply. No. Quantity demanded by consumers equals the quantity supplied by producers. If it's that case, it is in equilibrium. So answer is A. Question 8. In response to an increase in price from $5 per kg to $6 per kg, a farmer increased supply from 400 kg to 500 kg per week. What is the price elasticity of supply? So we know that PS, the formula is percentage changes in quantity supply divided by the percentage changes in the price. Alright, so we just do the calculation. Right, so I got the answer of 1.25. So answer is D. Moving on. Which government measure is most likely to cause a fall both in price and quantity traded? If you can't visualize it, I'll suggest you to draw a diagram and we see which one both price and quantity falls. And take note, this quantity traded refers to both quantity demanded and quantity supplied. So either or false is fine. Let's start with this indirect tax we draw out here. So when we impose the indirect tax, supply curve will move to the left because supplier, they have less incentive to produce the goods again. Oh no, this one, although the quantity reduces but the price increases, so we know that A is not the answer. B, maximum price. So this is the price equilibrium and this is the quantity in equilibrium. So we know that maximum price, you need to reduce the price. So it will become like this. This part here is the excess demand. This part moving here is the changes in supply, and here moving is the demand. So this one we can see it's correct because the price is moving, is falling, and the quantity also falling. As I mentioned just now, quantity traded doesn't specify whether it's demand or supply, so either or false is fine. So we can see that here for this maximum price, supply false. So the answer is B, is correct. So let's draw out C and D for your reference. So we don't even need to finish drawing because we know that the price already increased. So let's see D, subsidy. So giving subsidy will move the supply curve to the right. Okay, so we see the price fall, but the quantity traded increases, so also wrong. So B is the answer. Moving on, question 10. The diagram shows the wage rates of cleaners and nurses. What is the result if a national minimum wage of OM is introduced? To know the changes in wage rates, we need to compare the national minimum wage, which is OM, to the wage rate of cleaner. So first, the cleaner wage rate, WC, is already lower than the OM. So when OM is introduced, WC will rise to OM. So second, nurse wage rate, WN, right now, it is already higher than OM. So even when OM is introduced, WN has completely no effect. So no change. So D is the answer. 11. What would cause a decrease in spending by household in a country? A reduction in disposable income. Yes, this will reduce its spending because you have less money to spend. So obviously you will decrease your spending. A is correct, but let's see why other answers are wrong. B, a reduction in the rate of sales tax. No. When you reduce the sales tax, you will increase the demand and you can increase spending. Okay. C, lower interest rates. No. When there's lower interest rates, many people, they may reduce saving, so they will take out their money from the bank and spend it, or they will increase borrowing because right now the borrowing cost is lower, so they can use the money, they borrow the money, and to spend on like houses or buying houses or any essential goods. So this will also ultimately increase the spending. The lower savings, no. We are not sure if they will increase spending or decrease. So not relevant. A is the answer. Question 12. Which combination shows the advantages of small firm over a larger firm? First, better communication. Yes, because small firms, they have less workers and departments, so they can communicate better. Greater independence, yeah. Because small firms, they can make decisions quickly because they don't need the lengthy approval process by layers of management like in larger firm. So they can adapt quickly to the changes in market, customer preferences, or new opportunities. Basically, they can make decisions quickly. So yes, Last one, lower average cost. No. Because small firm, they produce or sells at a smaller scale compared to larger firm, so their average cost is higher. 13. What is the variable cost for a firm? So we know that variable cost is the cost that changes as level of output changes. This is directly related to the production. A. The cost of raw materials. Yes, it is variable cost. B. Interest payment on existing loans, rent on the factory, insurance on the factory buildings. They are not variable costs. 14. The table shows the daily average revenue and units of output sold for a firm producing bicycles over a 5-day period. What can be concluded from the table? So right now there's a missing information for us to work out. We need to calculate the total revenue. So how to calculate total revenue? Which is using average revenue times the units of output sold, then you get total revenue. So let's do the calculation right now. A. The firm's highest total revenue occurs at 2 units of output sold. So we see this. Oh, no, this is not the highest revenue, so we know that it's wrong. B. The firm's highest total revenue occurs at 14 units of output sold. 14 units, which is this. Yes, so this is correct. C. The firm's prices are always greater than total revenue. No. The firm's total revenue always increases as output rises. Okay, so as output rises, no, this one falls. Although this is all increase, but this 640 falls. So B is the answer. 15. Which function of money acts as a measure of value? So you need to know that measure of value, also known as unit of account. So there's nothing tricky here. It's really straightforward. It's D. 16. What are the features of highly competitive market when compared with a monopoly market? In order to be competitive, a lot of firms, they need to set price lower to align with their competitors. So in this a highly competitive market, the price will be lower. And when the selling price is lower, this lead to a lower profit. So answer is D. 17. What is not a role of central government in a mixed economy? A. Providing demerit goods. Oh no, the answer is A. It's straightforward. Why is it why government they don't produce demerit goods? Because they have a negative impact on public health and welfare, which often leads to negative externalities and increases the social costs. For example, smoking often leads to increased healthcare costs and loss of productivity, and excessive alcohol consumption also leads to social problems like crime and accidents. So government always avoid producing demerit goods. Alright, let's move on. 18. A government wishes to prevent deflation. So prevent deflation, government need to aim to increase the demand. So first, interest rate. Should we increase or reduce? In this case, to stimulate demand, we need to reduce interest rates. So when you reduce interest rate, you will reduce saving, increase borrowing, and this leads to increase of consumption, investment, and when the economy is being stimulated, there are a lot of activities going on. This will increase the total demand. Alright, so this is the reason of why reducing interest rate can increase demand. And secondly, you should increase government spending to increase economic growth. We can use this formula for you to see. GDP equals to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So this C is consumption, investment, and this represents government spending. So when you increase government spending, you also can increase your GDP. Answer is C. Moving on. Question 19. The diagram shows the impact of a tax introduced on a product. Which area represents the amount of tax paid by the consumer? So impose of sales tax will reduce the supply from S1 to S2 because the suppliers have less incentive to supply the product. Okay. S1 to S2. So we see that there's a reduce in quantity and also an increase in price. So this increase in price, that it's paid by the consumer. So it's P1, P2, EF. D is the answer. Question 20. Which statement about supply side policy is correct? It aims to increase the productive potential of economy. Yeah. A. A is the answer. 21. Which change is most likely to cause faster economic growth in the short run? So, in the short run is the keyword. Which one can immediately increase economic growth? So let's check. Increase in net immigration? No. Increase in birth rate? I mean, yes, but it is for the long run. Okay. I'll explain why later. Increase in death rate? No. Increase in retirement age? Yes. Because when you increase the retirement age, you can immediately increase the number of workforce. So this shift the PPC outwards. B is only correct when it's asking in the long run. So even though there's an increase in population, part of them can only contribute to the workforce after 20 years later. So after all the kids grow up, so they can find a job. But it takes about 20 years to increase the economic growth. So this is not the answer. 22. How is the pattern of employment likely to change when a country becomes more developed? From rural employment to urban employment? Yeah, this is the answer. Skilled to primary? No. Technical to manual? No. Tertiary and secondary? No. Okay, these questions are really straightforward. Okay. 23. Which item is least likely to be included in the CPI? A. Domestic cooking oil. Yes, it can be included. Homemade clothes? No. Milk? Yes. Personal mobile phones? Yes. This question is a bit tricky because you may think why is it homemade clothes? Actually, the answer is because it is considered in the informal economy. And what is informal economy? It is usually not formally registered, so it is hard for the government to measure how many goods are actually being consumed or produced. So it cannot be included in the CPI. And another example of informal economy is hawker center. 24. The table shows statistics for 4 countries A, B, C, and D. According to the data provided, which country has the lowest standard of living? This should be lowest. Life expectancy also lowest. GDP also lowest. Let's find the answer. Okay, 6. Maybe. 45, 47, 200. Okay, so A is the answer. It has the lowest. Moving on. 25. Economic development in country X has progressed at a greater rate than in country Y. What is the most likely explanation of this difference in economic development between country X and country Y? A. Country X has a higher level of spending on education than country Y. Yes, it's correct. A is the answer. So why is that so? So when you increase spending in education, you can increase the productivity of workforce. And this shifts the PPC outwards. This means that there's an economic growth. Okay, moving on. 26. A rise in which factor would cause an increase in population growth rate of a country? A. Birth rate. Yeah, it is. Okay. A is the answer. Alright. 27. The diagram shows the market for an imported good with equilibrium at point X. The country imposes a tariff on this good. Is the new equilibrium at point A, B, C, or D? So we know that tariff is the tax on imported good. Alright. So this will shift the supply curve to the left. Reduce supply. Okay, so shift to the left, which is like this. This is the equilibrium point. So by shifting left, it's here. Okay, you see the point already, it's B. Then you may be asking, why imposing tariff on imported goods will not shift the demand curve to the left? This is because this tax affects the price of goods rather than directly influencing the consumer demand. So this affects the supply. Moving on, 28. The diagram shows the market for the Chinese yuan price in US dollars. What could have caused the change in demand for yuan from D1 to D2? D1 to D2. Shift left, so we know that it is a reduced demand, reduction in demand in yuan. Okay, so before looking into the answer, you need to already know there are 4 possible reasons for the reduce in demand in yuan. So let's list it down. First is because of the reduced export of China goods. Why? Because maybe less foreigners are buying China goods, so there are decrease in export of China goods, and so this results in reduce in demand of yuan. Second, reduce in interest rate of China. So this causes the foreign investors maybe to pull out from China to invest in somewhere else that offers a higher interest rates. This again reduce demand in yuan. And third reason can be due to a reduce in foreign direct investment in China. For example, less MNC set up in China, so also reduce demand of yuan. And the last reason, it can be due to the speculation of Chinese yuan currency falling, so again reduce demand in yuan. Okay, so let's check the answer. A decrease in foreign direct investment in China. Yes, it's correct. So others are wrong. So usually for this kind of questions, you need to think about the reasons first, which is usually is this 4. So you can refer. Moving on to question 29. The table shows the average exchange rate of UK pound to the US dollar. That is the amount of $1. That's the amount of dollar that can be bought with £1. What is the likely effect of this change on UK economy? So we see the trend. From year 1 to year 4, we can see the trend of pound is weakening, is falling. In year 1, £1 can buy $1.64. But in year 4, £1 can only buys 1.25 of dollar. So this shows that UK currency is actually weakening. What will happen when the currency falls? Actually, this makes the import more expensive. This results in reduce in import. Because import becomes more expensive, people living in UK, they will reduce to buy import products. Alright. A. Decreased cost push inflation. No. It will usually cause increase. decrease current account deficit. Yeah. So how do we know it is decrease or increase? So there's a formula in the GDP, which is the last part, X minus M. Right now, our import already reduces, so this can reduce current account deficit. So this is correct. Increased quantity of imports, no, it reduces. Increased trade deficit, no, reduces. Okay. 30. The table shows components of Japan's current account balance in 3 trillion yen for 2 years. Which balance improved between year 1 and year 2? So when it says which balance improved, we need to find the answer that become more positive or become less negative. So first one, balance of goods, negative 1.61 to negative 5.23. No, this become more negative. Balance of services also become more negative. Balance of primary income becomes less positive. No. So balance of secondary income, so this becomes less negative. You can see it's from negative 1.11 to negative 1.202. So the answer is balance of secondary income. So here's the end of our episode. Hope this video helped you a lot, and we'll see you in the next video.